Now you're lining up your feet, you're lining up hips, and you're lining up the shoulder. But I'm going to change that. Not your feet. I'm going to change the knee action, your hip, and the shoulder. You can't grip the club like this. You need a bicycle handlebar. But to have a correct movement of the arm through the shot, you have to have the right hip kind of tilts down, the right knee flexes a little bit. And that will let you put the right hand below the left hand without changing the position of your shoulders. Understand?
Changing the position in relationship to open and close?
Yeah, yes, that's right. You see, you do not want to have this hip outside of, this hip and this shoulder outside of this one. See, I'm sitting here. Now, I'm not going to change that. That isn't changing it. But if I change this, look at that. See, like, if everybody has an idea that you hit the ball with the elbows on the same height, you do not. When you hit the ball, your right shoulder, your right elbow are behind and more inside, because you're not approaching the thing down the flight line.
Well, what we were talking about a little bit earlier is, like, if you took both arms and you put them right out in front of you, they'd come together right in the middle of your square. It's a square position, right?
Yeah.
So if I bend over to the golf ball and my shoulders were square and my hips were square and my knees were square, then I would have to grip the golf club with a square hand position in order for everything to be measured, right?
Right, that's right.
But since my right hand is lower than my left, I have to accommodate for that measurement on the right side, right?
That's correct. You know, when you flex the right knee and move the left hip slightly to the left without swinging the shoulder out here to grab it that way, you feel like you're coming on and getting it this way. Now that's like if you're going to shoot a cannon, you want your cannon, if you want it to go the farthest, to have it tilted at a 45.
More instead of like that.
Yeah.
You'd be tilting it up. That's where we're going to get our body in position.
Because the position and address and impact position is very similar, but you're not hitting it off of 2 feet. You're moving to 1. Your arms and hands are moving ahead of the address position, and all your weight's on that left leg. So it's important to have the correct shoulder position, the correct right arm position, and the correct pressure of those 3 fingers that's holding that.
Okay, so if I've got my, let's just say I walk into the ball.
Just like that.
I take my stance and kind of adjust my feet for the width of the...
And you can tell when you've got the distance correct, if you can put this right arm underneath your elbow, and you have at least a hand expand between your abdomen and the top end of the stick. You have to have that, so when you hit the ball, that your right thigh can come in here on a bias, on an angle like that, between that thigh and this club. I'm going to put you in it, okay?
All right. Right there.
Yeah. Now, when you come at this ball, this right arm isn't up here.
Right.
It's here. Now, let me take it back to the ball. Hold the club right there.
Okay.
Now, as you move your weight over to the left side, pick up the heel, bend the knee. Now, you're in a box, okay? Put your right hand on it. Now, at this point here, watch the rotation of your left arm and how the palm of my right hand goes over the left thumb. The left thumb is below the hand, isn't it? If it's up here, you'll be up in the air. It's got to be there. Now, you're coming at this ball this way. And coming up, most everybody hitting the ball, they're coming down and in. It's wrong. You want to get it up.
Up. We're going to hit up on the ball.
The right hand crosses over the left thumb after you hit the ball. Yeah.
Okay. But I want to, like, kind of retreating back just a little bit.
Yeah.
So once we, we get our left hand position on the club, and we set it behind the golf ball.
Yeah, you establish the angle of address when you bend over toward the ball by retracting the derriere. You don't do it by just bending this way. You collapse this rectus abdominis wall. You keep this line between the pubis bone and the xiphoid bone here without collapsing, you see? Now, if you collapse, you're bending at the waist.
Right.
If you bend this way, your derriere is pulling back and your head will be pulled down.
Mm-hmm.
Just take your derriere and pull it back away from your golf club, like that.
Okay.
Yeah, like that. Now,
All right. Here's the. All right. There's my left hand.
Yeah.
Left hand position. Now, right hand.
okay. Now, to place this right hand onto that club, the grip of the club, this is called the grip, and also when you take this action, it's called the grip too, so don't confuse the two.
Okay,
Understand?
good point, good point.
All right. Now, to put this right hand on this club, there's got to be a slight movement, a concave into the right side, lowering your right shoulder by flexing the right knee. Now, we're going to move this is the third finger of the right hand. This we're going to keep open. We're going to hold the fingers this way, and this way, not closing that joint here. I'm closing the second, then I put the third around the front side. But I want the shaft laying on this phalanx, this phalanx, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Not here. You're down in the fingers, you're underneath the hand, understand?
Mm-hmm.
So just look at the hand this way, and now look at it that way. Now this finger's like this. Now we're going to slip the third finger of this right hand below the index finger of the left hand.
Yeah.
There. Now let's see you put it there. All right, now we're going to take the hollow part of this palm and put it over these two phalanxes, the spaces between this joint and that joint. This has to go over it, like that, and put this is going to go underneath, right there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it feels like a one-handed grip
Boy,
instead
it feels solid.
It feels like a one-handed grip.
Okay, now talk about
Now
the webbing on top.
Now, when you grip this club, you have go down a very little small V. I ain't talking about this up here. I'm not talking about it here. I'm talking about that V here. Now, if you look at that V, it's right up the shaft, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What about the hook finger here? Should it touch or should it?
The little finger just laps over the top of this is called the index finger of the left hand.
No, I'm
Now,
talking about this hook finger here, the pointer finger.
It's got to be closed.
It's got to be closed?
Yeah, and you're gripping with this joint, the first joint, against that hook. Now this is underneath. Now you have an up grip, and a down grip.
Okay, so the up grip would be this pressure,
Yeah.
and this would be the thumb down.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And the pressure, it's not pointing down like that. It's that bone, right?
Yes, bone. The thumb has been out this way instead of down that way. So you feel like this is contacting the grip.
How much pressure do you put on, like those two, that down one?
So they can never open. That pollicis muscle there is closed, you know.
Mm-hmm.
If that opens up, you need a bat to have any grip on the club.
All right, so if you set it, and again, establish the left arm position.
Yeah. Now, just hold that position.
All right.
I'm going to show you whether it's right or wrong. If you can take this club like this and do this with it without feeling a lot of impedance, you now have found the proper amount of grip.
And if you could, again, like that neat little checkpoint, I could just take my hand off and open it,
Yeah.
and it would be square.
Yes.
Now, that was a pretty detailed analysis of what the grip looks like, but the one little drill that we do to check it is you could just take your hand.
Yeah. You look here. Now you step a little bit over that way.
All right.
Now see, that toe is down to the ground, isn't it? Now the toe and heel are level to the ground, isn't it?
See, they're horizontal.
Yeah. Now I would like to have you cock your left thumb, but close the web. Close the web.
The web being this
Yeah.
right here. See,
Yeah.
it never leaves that open.
All right.
All right.
Put it on.
All right.
Now this gives you not a long thumb, not a short thumb, but a medium thumb.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the next operation is to put
The right hand on.
the right hand. Now the index finger, this third finger goes against the index. Now you understand the club shaft is below the hand. you grip it in the fingers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you just take this club in front of you and drop it there, you have the correct.
Perfect grip.
Yeah.
One of the easiest ways to put your hand on the
Just
club.
a means of checking it, you understand?
Check it, recheck it,
Yeah.
check it, recheck
Yeah.
it.
Now, if you can't do this action here, and there, you're gripping it too tight. Now, lock your wrist and see what you do. You can't do any of that, can you?
Mm-mm.
You don't have this semicircle. Now, that is important in a golf swing. It isn't keeping that shaft pulling through there with the left arm.
Right.
That ball will slip right off the face of that club, but you got this coming. You compress the ball and keep it from sliding off the face, okay?
Mm-hmm. So this would be what a grip looks like. Proper grip.
Yeah.
Like so, right?
Right. Mike, we're going to continue the grip and posture because there's one element that I'd like to show from the side. We didn't do it from the side. It'll give you a better understanding of how far the hands have to be away from the body.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Now, I'd like to have you take your left-hand grip.
Mhm.
Take your left-hand grip. Now, line yourself up. Position your body.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, this position that you have looks relatively good, you see?
Mm-hmm.
You have to have this. So if you drop the plumb bob from the butt end of the stick, that'll be outside the toe line.
Mm-hmm.
It's imperative because when you shift over to your left hip and pick up this leg,
See, I've got to be able
This
to get
knee,
my
this-
right side
yeah.
underneath that, right?
yeah, you got to go underneath your arm, between the left leg and your arms.
Mhm.
Now your hip is driving on an angle like that.
Right.
The left hip is parallel to the flight line.
Mhm.
Okay,
Right.
and this gluteus maximus is pushing down. You're flexing femoris flexor and your extensors here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's impact position. And you can now hit that ball exactly where you want it to go.
Whereas opposed to, you know, like if I was set up square and I squatted my knees,
Then when you come at the ball, your right shoulder will be overpowering. You're coming down on the ball. Instead of driving it up, that's driving it into the groove.
I know if you took so for example, like if like my knees are relatively extended,
Yeah.
not, you know, hyperextended,
not
but
locked.
extended, and that gives me the full, you know, my full stature.
Right.
But if I was to flex my knees a lot, then the natural,
You have no
my
balance.
head has to come backwards, right?
And your collapsing here is injurious to the spine. You can,
And then-
in here you get epicondylitis, bursitis, you know.
And the natural hang of the arms, instead of giving me working room like we were talking about, would be
on the side of the hip.
on the side of the hips, which, you know, this would be a manufactured position as opposed to a very simple natural position, right?
That's correct.
Boom. Boom. Also, the knees, you know, like if you bend both of them, whew,
You lower your
you
head.
lose your head.
You see, one side has to hold up, and the other sides have to revolve. Now, that's getting into the pivot.
Okay, well,
And
we'll
we'll-
get there in just a
yes.
second, but we gotta get this foundation squared away here.
All right.
But so when I'm setting up to the ball, you know, you just can't. You're putting your grip, the two-arm measurement, and the posture is absolutely essential that you get those correct.
If you don't get that correct, you're going to have problems with direction.
All right, setting up. All right, so when I put my right hand back up on the shot, I don't do it like
Don't twist
that.
the left hand.
No.
You slightly move it a little bit ahead into a convex position.
Really, I'm
You-
taking,
you-
because my right hand's lower than my left, I'm actually compensating for that length, right?
Right.
From the hand to,
No.
this would be square, now this would be,
You see, actually from here to there, that length.
mm-hmm.
So that shoulder has got to be that much lower than your left shoulder.
So it would look like, from a front view, I'm actually making that adjustment all the way from my ankle to my shoulder line. As I'm not doing that.
No.
I'm letting the whole thing just conform.
Yeah.
And that would, look, this would enable me to, look, my arms are fully extended right now. I could hit it with either hand, couldn't I?
That's right.
Look at that, boom.
And
Hey, as opposed to,
that way it's no good. And these people sound like they're going to make love to a fire plug. It's no good.
Yeah,
Understand?
yeah, we don't want them doing that.
And we're not buying traction on the ground. We're buying kinetic motion.
Hmm.
One
Right,
one
like
leg
so.
to the other leg, right.
Mhm.